Heidi, Heidi, ho, good neighbor. Kind of works out because I got the thing in front of my face, right? Well, I feel like this has panned out a little bit. This might be the new thing. Start the intro 5 minutes before 7, and then get it rocking at 7 o'clock. Again, no structure, no form. It's wide open. We talk for as long as you want to talk, and then I'll get back to doing the podcast. I got about half of the podcast done, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to miss the 7 o'clock thing. See if the 7 o'clock thing works. And so that's what we're doing. But again, if you're hanging out, thank you for hanging out. Drop a comment in there. It's kind of a Fan Talk Friday kind of thing. I know it's not Friday. It's not even Thursday. But whatever you want to talk about, let's talk about it. We should probably, up to you, entirely up to you, we should probably address this whole Devonte Adams thing because that seems to be what everybody wants to talk about. But entirely up to you. Jacob, thank you for liking the stream. Brett, thank you for following the Packernet Podcast, Facebook, whatever you followed. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Make sure you sign up at Pristine Auction, by the way, because you're halfway there. Sign up at Pristine Auction. Use promo code Packernet, and you're going to be entered to win a sweet gift. Jordy Nelson signed a replica, Lombardi Trophy, and that'll be getting shipped out to your house Friday at about noonish. I'm going to be picking somebody so that when I record on Friday for Saturday's podcast, we'll find out who the winner is. So it's coming up, man. Want to use folks, well, probably not want to use because we're dealing with about 1,500 people that follow the page, and there's apparently only 8 in here, but maybe you want to use. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know things. Luke says, let's go. Mike is coming. So thank you. I feel like you're here if you're typing that, but I appreciate. I have a mental picture of you like sprinting towards something, and it's kind of cool. Thank you for putting in that much effort to come hang out. Chad is making coffee. Nice. Do I have any left? Mine's gone. That's probably good because I need to go to bed at some point here. Nate is taking his mom to a concert tonight, but good fill until that. Where are you going? And why are you taking your mom to a concert? Like you two are like it's a Mother's Day thing or? Not Mother's Day, but your mom's birthday, maybe? What is the concert? Let me guess. I'm not going to guess. I don't know how old you are, so I don't know how old your mom is. I have no idea. Plus, I'd have to... There is a concert in Madison coming up. Not that you're in Madison, but I was trying to think. It's like a country person. Is it country? I don't know. Eric says working night shift and watching the stream, getting paid to watch. That's what I'm talking about, man. Get paid to hang out with me. At least one of us is getting paid to do this. 3 Doors Down and Cesar, her birthday. So I got the birthday part, and that was what I was trying to think of, like some real old, like what are some real old bands? But then I was like, wait a minute, I'm kind of getting to be oldish. It's possible that your mom is into. I wouldn't have guessed 3 Doors Down and Cesar. Like, is that what she wanted, or did you like, hey mom, I got your birthday gift. It's what I want. Get in the car. I don't know. Mike says, is it just me, or do remember not that long ago, Jameis Winston tearing the Packers apart, or a few ago in Tampa? It's possible. I don't know. You make me look stuff up. You look it up. I can't look stuff up right now. You look it up. It's not that hard to figure it out. I want to do it, but I don't want to take it. Listen, let me look up one thing, because I keep saying this, and I might be wrong. Tampa Bucks PFR 2019, I think. I keep saying it, and I don't know if it's true. It's not. That's fine. Was it? It wouldn't have been 2020. That doesn't make any sense. Bottom line is, this offense has been very, very good for a long time. Dallas Young says Dez caught it. Welcome to the stream. We'll get into that. I'll catch up to you. I've given the same spiel 1,000 times. It doesn't matter. So he is not the greatest quarterback in the world. He has some issues, but I think maybe I've been underselling him a bit because he's a dangerous quarterback, and you can see what happens when all that dangerousness comes together. And what you have here, for example, in 2019 is obviously the 30 interceptions is what everybody remembers, but 5,109 yards and 33 touchdowns, number 3 offense in terms of points, number 3 offense in terms of yards, and you're going to struggle to, come up with a lot of other reasons why that offense would have been so good. I mean, they got a couple wide receivers and stuff out there, but basically no run game, right? I mean, it's just This is just an air it out, Air Coryell style offense. And it sounds like I've been listening to some Saints podcasts and whatnot, and it sounds to me like because my question is this going to be trying to get Jameis to play like the Saints or get the Saints to play like Jameis? And it sounds like everybody's saying they're going to do old school Saints back when Drew Brees used to just rip it and kind of just start airing it out. So the expectation is we're going to see a lot of attacking down the field. Now, I don't know how that's going to pan out. Gets a lot of the gears turning. I'm still kind of thinking through it, but obviously if you're going to drop back in the pocket and you're going to stand in the pocket longer, that provides more opportunities for us to bring pressure. It's one of the benefits of these more quicker. It's part of the reason Drew Brees started doing so well. It's not just because, well, here's a way to make your old self good at football again by just dumbing this down. It's also a matter of this is a very efficient style of playing football, and it's beneficial if you have a quarterback that's as efficient and intelligent as he is to be able to throw quick, accurate, intelligent passes to the right guy at the right time and just march your way down the field. It's great. Thank you, John Crow, for liking the stream on Facebook. It's great to be able to launch the ball down the field all the time, but it's not that easy. And we've seen with the Packers when they always wanted to do that, it didn't always work. And when it works, it's great. And that is my biggest fear. And really the Saints in general, that's my biggest fear is the Packers are the better team. I don't have any qualms about that. But there's a couple things you look at and you say, if those things become a problem, we might lose this game. Thank you, Aaron Wagner, for liking the stream. For example, last year when we played them, Alvin Kamara almost single-handedly beat our team. He broke every single record in the known universe, pretty much everything. Go get a Guinness Book of World Records. It's just 17 pages of Alvin Kamara when he played the Packers. It's a smaller pamphlet version, but it's things like that. And also, when the Packers lose, it's usually something like that. When we lose to the 49ers, it's because our offensive line just cannot find a way to stop the pass rush or any of these other teams. It's one of those things where they only got this one thing on us, but they keep doing it and we can't stop it. Alvin Kamara, we can't stop it, right? Julio Jones, we can't stop him. Dez Bryant, we can't stop him, right? That is my concern because they do have those things. If they're able to air out the ball and attack down the field and we're struggling to stop that, that could be problematic. And it's one of those things where if it's that coupled with they've got a pretty good pass rush because they got a couple good guys off the edge and we don't have Bakhtiari, we got Billy Turner and Elton Jenkins, we have essentially a really good guard playing left tackle and a subpar tackle playing right tackle up against pretty premier pass rushers. And they're able to get into a rhythm on offense, and we're struggling to get into it. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where you spend all this time saying we're better, we're better, we're better. In other words, we're like a 94 overall team, and they're like an 82 overall team. We're clearly better. We should win the game. But when you get into the nuance, it makes me a little bit nervous, because if that one thing we can't get around it, or this little thing over here we can't figure out a problem for, and this is how teams that are not as good as other teams beat the better teams all the time. It happens every single week. Happens pretty close to 50% of the time, in fact. But anyways, yeah, he probably did beat us once. I don't know. Nate says, I live in Denver. All right. Yeah, I took a swing at it. I don't know why. Not a terrible guess. I mean, Wisconsin is the majority of Packer fans. I shouldn't even say that. If you have to pick a place, Wisconsin would be the place you pick. Adam, thank you for liking the stream on Facebook. You guys are killing it. All right. Have fun. Looking forward to losing in the NFC game just like the past 5 years, Dallas Young says. Yeah, I mean, I guess if that is supposed... Again, the thing with attacking Packer fans, and it's somewhat effective, the problem is you have to do like backhanded compliments all the time. You have to acknowledge how good the team is and then be like, yeah, but you're not even better. Like... Wow, you bunch of idiots went to the NFC Championship game twice and then didn't go to the Super Bowl. You suck. It's like, well, I mean, I guess that kind of sucks. It kind of is awesome, though, at the same time. I mean, I would love to have won the Super Bowl. That's true. Would have been great to beat Tampa. It would have been great if a lot of different things had happened. But it's a pretty good football team. And I feel like I'm not super mad about it. But... if you're telling me that, that's the other thing. This is the version of an insult from a Dallas Cowboys fan, is that you're predicting we're going to go to the NFC Championship game. And I'm also guessing you're predicting you won't be there. Is that correct? That would be my guess, because you're not. You won't be there. But again, great burn. You got me. Nate says, I took her to Styx and Joan Jett before COVID. So there you go. That makes a little bit more sense. I'm a big fan of Styx. I had the Styx Greatest Hits CD back when I had like the Discman or whatever. I used to rock that all the time. I do like Styx. Joan Jett, not as much. I haven't actually seen Styx. I feel like they were at Summerfest like every year, and I never really went there to go watch them, but I do like Styx. Dez caught it. All right, let me give you my spiel here. Dallas, I don't know. He wants to fight. I'm not in a fighting mood. We'll see. If he keeps poking the bear, maybe it'll get me riled up. Keep trying. By the way, keep the comments coming. We're getting caught up. I'm getting nervous. Here's the thing. This is very straightforward how this Dez caught it thing worked. Based on the rules at the time, there was no debate. He did not catch it. They then changed the rules so that in that event, Dez would have caught it. So by today's standard, he did catch it. You're right. If that same play happened today, that's a catch. However, it was the correct call. You're wrong. You lose that argument. I'm very sorry. That's just reality. Beyond that, as I'm sure you've heard this before and you already know this, you would have lost the game anyways, even if he caught it. So none of this matters. You lost. And I know it still hurts, and I know that's why you got to keep bringing it up. Dez caught it because the last time you were even relevant, the Packers are the ones that knocked you out of the playoffs. I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm still mad at teams like the 49ers. I'm still mad at Tampa. I'm still mad at the Seahawks. I got a long list, as you pointed out, of teams that have crushed our dreams in the playoffs because we go every year and we get crushed. The Arizona Cardinals, pretty much the NFC West, their number one job is kicking us out of the playoffs, which is why I fully expect the Rams to be that team this year. That is my prediction. The Rams will be very good this year, slightly better than last year. We will meet them again. This time it will be in the NFC Championship game. Hopefully we don't lose, but if we did, that's my guess of who it will be. But it's not even a debate. That's just the reality of what happened with the whole Dallas Dez caught it thing. So thanks for stopping by, and thanks for, I really do appreciate, it's cool, even though I know you're just here to be a troll. It's kind of cool that you got Cowboys fans hanging out here. By the way, Mr. Dallas Young, check out the mock draft I did. I think it's just about done going live now, but see what I did for the Dallas Cowboys and see if you thought I did a good job. If not, provide me some feedback, because I'm here to learn, man. Chad says that pristine auction website might get me in trouble. You have no idea how many people have told me that. Like it's that's why it's so cool to have them as like an advertiser. And by the way, I've got another advertiser I think people are going to be excited about, but maybe not. You know how we did the stock market game and we basically made it ourselves? There's a website that does that, so I don't have to do it, and they're going to be advertising with us, which is cool. Strouder Nelson, thank you very much for liking the stream. Good to see you, buddy. But yeah, I've had a lot of people. I had somebody send me, it might have been you, I don't know. But I had somebody send me a picture of something they bought. And I've had at least 2 people send me pictures and a bunch of other people saying they've bought stuff. So I know Pristine is happy with what we're doing. It's an awesome website. And they got some really cool stuff over there for a lot cheaper than you would expect. I probably should consider, I got to be cool with some of the stuff, but decorating this place here, which I still have to work on, that would be the place to go for that. So I appreciate you signing up, and I hope you can win some stuff from them. And I'm sure they would love to be able to send you something and hook you up. Jason on the YouTubes says, Ryan, what is the condition of the Saints' offensive line? Are we going to be able to get pressure on Winston and force Kamala, that's the wrong one, to the outside? If we force him outside, will our DBs be up to the task? So let me pull it up again. I did talk about it a little bit, but I want to be able to provide actual context and some statistics and all the fun stuff like that. Let's just take a little look-see here, because the basic premise here is that the tackles are great. The interior is a little bit suspect. If we look at the lineup, and I believe this is the lineup as it's going to be, Eric Armstead on the left side, very, very good tackle. Ryan Ramczyk on the right side, very, very good right tackle. Andrus Peat at left guard is not good. Eric McCoy is young. They like him, probably, I don't want to say the same way we like Josh Myers because we haven't even seen Josh Myers, but it's a similar thing. Hey, Jason Miller, thank you for the $1.99 super chat. I really appreciate that, buddy. But he's fine. You know what I mean? He's decent. He did take supposedly a step back last year, so he had a 78 overall grade year one. That's fantastic for a rookie. Dropped down to a 69 last year, but he's fine. He's just not great. Then last year they drafted Cesar Ruiz in the first round. He was really bad last year. It's possible he takes a step, but he was really bad, 53 overall grade, 42.3 pass blocking. So the bottom line is we are going to be able to attack that. And even if you're not a big fan of our defensive line, it doesn't really matter because the way that this defense is structured, supposedly, is to attack. And I know every defense is structured that way, blah, blah, blah. Not really. Mike Pettin said, I'm going to put 4 guys up there. You guys go one-on-one and try to go get them. And once in a while, it'll be like a stunt or whatever. But usually it's just line up and attack, go straight forward. I mean, to be honest, almost every sack, what was it? It was taking the tackle and pushing him into the quarterback. They didn't even really try to go around the guy. They just pushed him into the guy. They were just straight brute force. And the Packers are good at it. To be fair, Za'Darius did a good job of once in a while going actually around the guy. But Rashawn, not so much. He just took the guy and smashed his face into the quarterback's face. And it was fun to watch. But this is more meant to be, and you know, you look at it and say, well, why wouldn't everybody do that? Because it's a little bit more high risk, high reward. Mike Pettin wanted everybody to kind of stay where they're at, hang out, make sure you don't give up. You know, if you attack too much, you might get beat over here. It's like boxing, right? If you start throwing haymakers, you're leaving yourself wide open, you're going to get rocked. So Pettin was very defensive and, you know, throwing little jabs or whatever. And Joe Barry apparently is a little bit more go-get-'em. Not only along the defensive line, but if they've got some weaknesses on the interior, plus a couple young guys. Ruiz is in year 2, McCoy is in year 3. And then, again, Pete is just not very good at football. You start attacking with the linebackers, attacking with the safeties, just bring them, which I do think is going to be the plan, not just blitzing against the pass, but also just blitzing against the run, which we saw in the preseason, which was very unusual. Just seeing them attack across the line of scrimmage and tackle behind the line of scrimmage, the running backs. Not going to be easy to do against Alvin Kamara, but are we going to be able to do things like that? Yes. But again, there is some concern because when you are attacking more, that's when you get a guy like Alvin Kamara out in space, and we might be playing a little scared. I hope not. I hope we at least try to be aggressive, and if we get gashed, then pull back. But I just want to see it. I want to see Jameis under duress. And if we make them one-dimensional where all they can do is kind of dump off to Kamara and let him do some work, at some point that's going to come back to bite him. You can't just do one thing, although they almost did last year, and win the game. But I do expect to have some success. But again, it's going to be a tough battle. And if Za'Darius isn't there, it makes it even tougher because it's going to be Rashawn and Preston up against these two guys as opposed to having, for example, Za'Darius on the inside with Kenny Clark just wreaking havoc while Rashawn and Preston handle the outside and things of that nature. So they should be able to get it done. Will they? I guess I don't know. There's always mitigating things you can do to kind of take that away. It's not just as simple as, well, our guy's better than your guy and we can probably beat him because, again, you start bringing it too much, we're going to start doing the screens, the quick passes, and just get Alvin Kamara involved. And, you know, if he starts breaking it to the outside or doing all these kinds of things because you're being too aggressive, you know, it's a back and forth battle. But I think in terms of head to head, yes, our guys are better than their guys. All right. Dallas Young, did you get a chance to watch Grandpa's Super Bowl VHS? Is Dallas still in the house, or did he drop a couple and take off? Let's just check the stream. I don't see Dallas. He's either hanging out being a good boy or he decided to drop a couple anti-Packers things and bounce, which is fair. I mean, that's the thing, especially if you're Dallas. Like, you drop your best line and then you get out of there because you know you're going to get lit up because it's been one. Again, it's. I understand Bears fans and Vikings fans and Cowboys fans or whatever don't like the Packers and they're going to throw some shade once in a while, but you know you're going to lose the battle. So that's probably smart. Drop your line and just bail. Brett says, yo, what up, Brett? He didn't say the second part. I said the second part. Be kind of funny if he did say, yo, what up, Brett, though. Adam says, what would you define as a successful season for MVS? More first down conversion completions or more consistency on passes down the field? Between those two things, first downs or consistency on passes down the field? I guess consistency on passes down the field, if I'm even understanding that sentence correctly, just because that's the thing he does well. I mean, I would love to see more targets and more completions in general, but I don't want him to become like Randall Cobb, where he gets like 12 targets in a game. I mean, he's got a thing that he does, and that's to stretch the field. Now, I do want him to be able to do some other things some of the time, 100%. But if there's one thing I want him to excel at, it's the thing that he's here to do, right? It's kind of like saying, what would you like from Aaron Rodgers, to upgrade his throwing ability or his running ability? Well, throwing. That's his job, is to throw. So I guess I would pick that if I had to pick between those two. But yeah, I think consistency is the biggest word, though. If I could just pick one broad category for him, I just want better consistency. Rather than like 2 good games a year, I would like to see him just be a consistent threat week in and week out. Like I said, Devonte is the kind of guy where he'll have like 1 or 2 games where it's kind of like, what happened to Devonte? MVS is the opposite. He has 1 or 2 games where it's like, he won us that game. So I would just like, it doesn't have to be like Devonte, but if half the season he was a major factor, that would be great. Paula says, what do you think about the stalemate with Devonte's contract? So again, I'm halfway done recording the podcast, and my general take is people are just panicking for no reason. I don't think we really learned anything new. The only thing that seems different is the fact that they've shifted. Devonte has shifted from saying, I want the biggest contract, to I want, it's more focused on guarantees, which makes sense. That's what it should have been all along. But they've shifted focus, and that's what it is. And because of the way that the Packers structure it, apparently Devonte is not super into that, or at least his agent is not. Devontae's not paying any attention to this. He doesn't even want to talk about it. He's mentioned that. He's very locked in. He's very focused, and he wants to eliminate all distractions, including the contract negotiations. So he is not involved in that. So when you ask him a question, he probably has not even talked about it to his agent in a very long time, because it's one of those things where unless something very serious is about to happen, don't talk to me. But I don't see it as anything super scary. I don't know why everybody's really freaking out. I know it was, I think the 2 biggest things that freak people out is, number one, is the fact that the line that Silverstein said is the Packers are not budging, which freaks people out because they want the Packers to budge, because they just want the Packers to do whatever it takes to bring them back in. And I will elaborate on that on the podcast, not so much here, but that's not what we should want. You don't want them to just give in to everybody that we want to stay, right? Because it's a fixed pie. You can't do that, right? Well, do whatever it takes to keep Rodgers. Also do whatever it takes to keep Devonte. Also do whatever it takes to keep Jair. Okay, well then we're out of money. So all the money that they're trying to protect does not go into their own pockets. It goes to paying all the other guys. So they have to be cognizant of that. Whereas we as fans can sit on our high horse and pretend that, if I was the GM, I would do whatever it takes. Well, okay, then you would suck at being a GM and running a football team. But that's my general thought. There's nothing to panic about right now. They're in a bad spot as far as, they haven't come together yet, but they were yesterday before we got this news. So I don't really see anything super new. In fact, the one positive I got from this is I think this is an easier thing to come to. Everybody hates the Packers structure, but everybody signs on the dotted line when the time comes, right? Everybody that the Packers want to keep. You could, well, what about Corey Linsley? They let him go. Everybody the Packers say, we want you to stay. They work it out. They make it work. And so he'll play hardball for as long as it takes, but that's an easier thing to fix, in my opinion, than saying I want $27 million a year, because the Packers at that point are saying, I can't do that, dude. We can give you funny money just out of the gate, but you're not going to accept that. It's too much money. And so the fact that Devonte has apparently moved off of that ridiculous notion that he's going to be getting that much money, I think it's a good sign. And I think we're kind of back to every other contract, which is, I want guarantees. And the Packers are like, for sure, dude, we'll hook you up with guarantees. We want it structured this way. And they're like, I don't like that structure. And the Packers are like, well, I know. Nobody does. But this is what we do. And we look forward to you signing on the dotted line. Jason Miller says, can Jones and Dillon get rolling against that stout Saints defensive front? It's not that stout of a front. One of the Packers podcasters was talking about how the Saints dominate in the trenches. I think that's silly. Again, they have great guys off the edge. Their defensive line is an absolute joke. It's a joke. Tuttle is their starting defensive tackle right now. He was like number 5 or 6 on their He's not a bad football player. He's a terrible pass rusher. He's a somewhat competent run defender at 6'3", 300 pounds. He was like their number 5 or 6 defensive tackle last year. He is now the number 1 because the 4 or 5 guys that were in front of him are not here. They either are no longer with the team because they had no money, they are suspended, or they are injured, or whatever the case may be, they're gone. And so it's that, and Roach, who I believe was an undrafted free agent last year, didn't play hardly at all, was absolutely horrific. They just signed recently Montravius Adams to the team, and they've been signing a bunch of guys because they just don't have anybody. They traded for Bradley Roby from the Texans. That guy's terrible, but because their corners are terrible. They brought in Montravius Adams because their defensive tackles are so weak and so thin. So can they win? Yes. Will they? I don't know, because it's still tough. If you got Jordan controlling the edge, you got Davenport controlling the edge, and they've got a very, very good linebacker in Demario Davis, who's getting up in age, but he is aging like wine at 32 years old. So I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but let's just say if they can't get it done against this defensive line, I'm very concerned about the Minnesota Vikings. I'm very concerned about the Chicago Bears. I'm very concerned about a lot of the guys we have to go up against who have much better defensive tackles than the New Orleans Saints have. So it's week one, and just like everything else, I'm not saying it's going to be easy. It's going to be a challenge, but they need to be able to get it done. That's the bottom line. JJ, welcome to my house, says, have you noticed how, I hate to use the word obnoxious, but how obnoxious Chiefs fans are online these days? What's up with that? I really haven't. So I keep getting into these discussions about how, for example, Justin Fields and how nobody else gets the hype that he gets, but I'm kind of wondering if maybe I'm just not tuned in. I get a little bit of Bears Twitter because I'm a Packer fan. I get a little bit of Vikings Twitter because I'm a Packer fan. Lions, I don't know if there are Lions fans. I'm not sure if that's a thing that exists. But I don't see a lot of other stuff that's out there. Maybe I just don't engage in, for example, NFL.com, whatever, their Twitter. They post something, and if you engage with that, then, that's when you would find Saints fans or whatever. That's where everybody kind of comes together, and I don't really engage in that. But I guess it kind of makes sense. You always want teams that used to be terrible for a long time that suddenly become good to be humble. But I remember, the first year the Chiefs were good, they were right out of the gate as though they were good all along. I specifically remember that. Not like, whatever, but it's just not a thing. I think just about every fan base that you see, they could be bad. I mean, if the Jets are good this year, they're going to be insufferable, right? As though they've been good for 20 years. It's kind of a weird thing. And I guess we don't really know how that works as Packer fans. Maybe if you're a new Packer fan, you understand it or whatever, but or a really old Packer fan for that matter. But I don't really know what it's like to be really, really bad and then all of a sudden be really, really good. I guess I would be kind of the same way. Like, dude, we're awesome. And that's kind of what Chiefs fans are. So I don't know. You'd have to show me an example of overly obnoxious. Most fan bases are very obnoxious, at least the ones that are really loud on places like Twitter. That's where you find the obnoxious guys or guys that troll on the YouTube comments. Andy Monday says, remember when receivers are granted catches by rule, even though they were pushed out of bounds by the defender? The rule credited the catch to them because they would have caught it if not forced out. Yes, I remember. JJ says, I don't remember Pats fans being that way to this extent when New England was on top of the world. Again, it's hard to gauge fans because I don't interact too much. I do remember hating Patriots fans. Mostly, I feel like they weren't that bad. It was just when you started talking about Tom Brady that they got very defensive. But they did seem to be kind of chill because, I mean, if there's any fan base out there that could have just been unbelievably insufferable about how great we are and we're better than everybody, maybe that's just part of it. I don't know. When you're really good, you're not that loud, and when you're really bad and become good, you get real loud. I don't know. Or when you're really bad for the last 20 years, like Cowboys fans, you're still loud, or Bears fans. Although it's like, how many years old is their franchise? Because that's how long they've been bad. Brandon says, I just read that the Packers, with almost the exact receiving core as last year, are now deep at the position. Funny how almost nothing changed and no crying about why. Yeah, so I just saw, as I was scrolling around on Twitter before I started, Aaron Nagler did a video on that. I haven't seen it, but it doesn't surprise me. I haven't really seen that transition to the Packers suddenly are deep at wide receiver or whatever. So somebody must have said something that triggered all this because you're talking about it and Nagler's talking about it. I don't know. You guys are much more plugged into like NFL Network and watching that stuff than I am. So I haven't seen it, but welcome to the party to all of the fans of big-time NFL media that have suddenly woken up to the fact that there are other weapons outside of Devonte. I wonder what would have triggered that. I don't know. It's weird, man, how these things come to be. I don't really understand it. Just caught up to the $2 super chat from Jason Miller. Thanks again for that, good sir. Andy Monday says, Vikings right tackle O'Neal paid fairly big. Thoughts? I mean, it's like I said, it's the one thing that the Packers do well is they pay their own guys. And they have a decent amount of money because they don't have that many good guys. But, I mean, he's a good football player. And it was never really in doubt. It's kind of like Danielle Hunter or at some point Justin Jefferson is going to get paid because he's just very good at football. So, it's a good signing, good paying, and especially along the offensive line, they got to start, making progress, and that's one of the things that they have to do. Strouder says, my favorite Styx song is Too Much Time on My Hands. That's a good one. What is Styx greatest hits? There's a lot of them, and it kind of just depends on my mood. No, I don't want the actual song. I just clicked on Too Much Time on My Hands. I want to see the album. Here we go. Song list. The Grand Illusion, or Crystal Ball. Crystal Ball is very good. The Grand Illusion. Those two songs in there are really, really good. Sweet Madam Blue is good. Usually with bands like this, it's just the ones that are like Judas Priest and stuff. The songs that everybody knows are the ones I hate. Black Sabbath. I don't ever want to hear Crazy Train ever again. Metallica. Metallica, I still kind of like some of their bigger hits, but generally, Guns N' Roses. Guns N' Roses, 100%. I love Guns N' Roses, but Paradise City is just the most obnoxious song in the world, and I can't stand it. And every time it comes up on my playlist or whatever, when I'm on Spotify, it's like, go away. I haven't actually listened to Paradise City all the way through on purpose in, like, decades. So, Mr. Roboto, no, thank you. Couple of, Come Sail Away, I don't have any interest in that, so, whatever. Respond to my wife really quickly. Wondering how the dog's doing. They're on their way home. You should feed him dinner. Well, sorry, I'm busy. All right, never mind. It wasn't Winston. Winston is 0-1 against the Packers, says Mike. So for those of you that are late to the stream, he had said, isn't it true that Jameis Winston had completely blown us up one year? And apparently he went and looked it up and found out that wasn't the case. So good news. I heard Jameis got contacts and now playing better. Any truth to that? He got it's one of those stupid things that you hear all the time. It just seems silly to me. I mean, it's not impossible, but it's a silly narrative. And until I actually see it, it doesn't mean anything to me. His eyesight is less blurry, so now his throwing motion and decision making is better. Like he's not throwing 30 picks. I mean, I guess if your depth perception is a little bit off, but I don't know, maybe. But it's one of those wishful thinking things that fans do. Like when a guy comes back from injury, that automatically means he's going to be really good now, or whatever. I don't know. It's silly until he plays well. Most recent Styx memory by Andy Monday says, Dwight singing Lady at the office karaoke. Is that what he's saying? I do remember him rocking out, but I don't remember exactly which one it was. But very good. And Styx is, so I am a singer in my car. I'm very much into it. And sometimes if I'm in the mood to just start belting stuff, there's certain bands like I just can't do it. I'll try, like I can do Axl Rose if I really want to invest the time to destroy my vocal cords and try to be able to get up to those notes or whatever. Styx is the one, if I had to pick one where it's like the one that you can kind of just nail it all the time, Styx is the band. Like that's just, for some reason, like his voice is like, that's where I'm at. So Styx is the easiest one for me to, I don't know if it's just vocal compatibility or if he just has an easy voice to replicate or what, I don't know. But I do like singing Styx for that reason. I'm not doing it here for those of you that are wondering. Michael says, one thing Jameis is good at is the deep ball. They are going to target Kevin King. Amos and Savage need to step up and make sure there are no big plays. Well, that's the biggest thing, too, is if you're talking underneath throws, you can kind of attack that. If you're talking deep throws, remember, the one thing Kevin King generally does well, I know a lot of people are going to be picturing Tampa Bay when I say this, but generally is we're talking go routes and things of that nature. But then again, you're getting into safety territory, so it's kind of attacking our strengths, to be completely honest. Now, again, this scheme, I don't know. I don't know anything anymore as far as how this stuff works, but I know that's where two really good guys play is way back there. So we'll see how that goes. Mike says, any chance Packers D can be better versus Kamara this time? They freaking better be. What did he do against us last time? Alvin. Oh, you know what? I'll just do PFF. Will be the easier way to do it. Let's do Alvin Kamara. He absolutely killed us last year. What am I looking for? Receiving grades? So against Green Bay, he was targeted 14 times, which is the most he was targeted all year, which, I mean, that's a lot for a wide receiver. 14 times, 13 receptions, 139 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's just receiving. That's stupid. And I would be stunned if the guy has ever had a game that good in his entire life. Running the ball, not run blocking. Why are all these things the same? Rushing grades. Against Green Bay, apparently only 6 attempts for 58 yards, no touchdowns. So, and that's the other thing. Like, we're all worried about Alvin Kamara running the ball. They did a good job against him running the ball. They could not stop him through the air. That was the bigger issue. So, yeah, he absolutely shredded us, and we had better do better than last time, or I have no expectation of winning this game, flat out. I mean, the only reason we won is because we hung 37 points on them. That's the only reason we beat the Saints last time. Lambo1919 says, just landed tickets to the Seahawks game, my first time back in Green Bay since Aaron's very first start. With that being said, which team has a better chance of knocking off the Packers, Saints or Seattle? I don't know. It's a very good question. I feel like the Saints are more of a wild card. I mean, Seattle seems more like a competent team to me because it's the same team as what they were. And you got Russell Wilson, and you got DK, and you got some of the familiar actors that you know about. But I also feel like we've settled into being a team that can kind of handle our business against Seattle. They're not really much of a threat anymore. They used to be a lot of good back and forth, the home team never lost kind of thing. We can kind of handle our own, and they seem to be getting a little worse every year. But the Saints are just such a wild card. I feel like they're not as good of an overall team as Seattle right now, but I don't know what they are. And again, if they can hit on those things, right, they've got a better group of pass rushers. They've got a quarterback that's pretty good at throwing deep, and they don't really have any wide receivers right now, but it has to be Seattle. But again, the Saints are just such a wild card, and I feel more comfortable with Seattle. And we'll have to see what happens. I mean, the Saints, if they're as bad as I think that they're probably going to be, then it's a stupid question. It's obviously Seattle, but there is a chance that Saints are a more realistic option there. Andy says, are any New Orleans running backs decent at pass protection? All right, let's take a look-see at that particular question. Here I go again with closing tabs all the time. What should we look at here? Let's go by team. Let's go to 2020. Let's go to the New Orleans Saints. Let's go to pass blocking, and then we'll look at their running backs. So Ty Montgomery, who is there, is a good pass blocker. How many times he's going to be on the field, I don't know. Then you go down to Latavius Murray with a 60 overall grade, then Alvin Kamara 58.9. So not particularly, no. They do have a fullback on the team who is actually the worst pass blocker of the group. And in fact, their tight ends also are not that great. Got to keep an eye out for Adam Troutman, though. I did mention that. He's going into his second year, seemed kind of promising. Could be a bit of a wild card, although is Troutman playing? I thought somebody said on the podcast he might not be. I don't know. John says, if this is Rodgers' last year at quarterback, what do you think his trade value is? Just a one year left on his contract. Do you think we get a good return? Yes, because I don't think the years left on the contract necessarily negate much at all. It's really just because, again, they're going to renegotiate the contract as soon as he gets there. We're just selling the rights to Aaron Rodgers. That's all we're doing. And to be completely honest, the one thing that's going to work against us isn't having very few years. It's having more money. If you have, so it's the value of Aaron Rodgers minus how much they have to pay for him to be on the team, right? So if they had to pay a ton of money because we have this massive contract and we're moving that all over to you, that's going to be deducted from what they owe us. The fact that it's only 1 year, I don't think works against us at all. I could be wrong, but if I'm the team, why do I care? I'm giving him a new contract as soon as he walks in the building. And that's what Aaron Rodgers wants anyways, is a rework contract with the new team. So again, we're just selling the rights to Aaron Rodgers. That's the value that we have. And we have 100% of his rights at the moment that we trade him. So I think the value, depending on how he plays this year and injuries or whatnot, I think it still remains in that 3 first-round pick range. I mean, I don't know if that was ever a correct assessment, but that's been the correct assessment. And I had a few people reach out freaking out about, if we don't trade him, then the value goes down. Not really. As long as he plays well and stays at that same level, the only thing working against us is age. Aaron Rodgers is 1 year older, but we're trading the rights to Aaron Rodgers for whatever the value is, and then they'll work out the financials and how long they want him to be there and all that kind of stuff. Michael says, when I watched Aaron's presser today, I didn't see fire in his eyes like last year. Aaron plays better angry and looking for revenge. The whole yoga and want to be hippie Aaron isn't as hungry. I haven't really thought about it, but that is a fair assessment. I guess I don't know if it's fair, but it's a fair concern, I guess. Is he a little bit too relaxed? The other way to think about it is if he's really contemplating retirement, and he said he was, and he really liked all that, you look at Devonte talking about how he likes to block everything else out. And I'm sure Rodgers, he knows what he needs to do. He knows he needs to block all this stuff out. And so far in training camp and everything, he's looked fantastic, and there's no reason really to expect a lot of regression. But if he is distracted, if he is thinking about retirement, if he is maybe not quite as hungry, if he's not really worried about, staying in Green Bay, whereas, last year he wanted to prove something and prove that he should stay and thought that once he did well, that he would get approval from the Packers and all these things, and he didn't really get the conversations he was hoping for. So, maybe that does change. I don't know that it does, but I haven't really considered it too much. I didn't think that would be that big of a factor, but it could be. I somewhat semi-expected regression anyways, because I don't expect anyone to be able to maintain that level of play. But, I hope it's not drastic. Dylan says Rodgers had arguably the best season of his career at 36 when he was in hippie yoga mode. Yeah, he's been in hippie yoga mode for a while. I think to his point, though, and I don't know if I ever really bought into this, but the idea for last year was it was the motivation of Jordan Love. I think that was a little bit overblown. I think the biggest issue is really just Aaron Rodgers playing within the scheme. I think you take the talent and the mental acuity of Aaron Rodgers built in with this system, which is a quarterback-friendly system, and you get this sort of superpower type thing. There may have been an element of the chip on the shoulder thing, but I think that's a minor factor. Adam says, Michael, I disagree. I think his mentality right now is very focused, maintaining a healthy frame of mind, blah, blah, blah. So, he obviously thinks this is going to help him play well. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Dakota says, I think we're losing a number of key players and Hackett at the end of this year. Enjoy what we have this year while we have it. I think that's an important thing, and it's also why I don't want to focus on next year. One way or another, some tough things are coming down the road, and you can try to pick and choose which ones you think they are. Rodgers stays, Zadarius and Preston and a bunch of other guys leave. Rodgers leaves, and, then it's just, that's depressing in and of itself. So, that's what we got to do. We got to really just enjoy what's in front of us. That's why I tend to get frustrated with people that are so down on this team, because it's like, can you just not do this right now? This is a very, very talented football team, and you're complaining about just the most ridiculous things. You guys drive me crazy sometimes. Drew says, I'm part of the Hangout, man. Welcome. Hopefully you're still hanging out. I definitely noticed that the numbers just keep going out over time. So this needs to be kind of give it about 5 minutes to let the first 5 people come in. I'm looking at winding this thing down, and we're up to 27. I want to see what we can kind of get up to. But Drew, thank you for hanging out, man. I really do appreciate that. Dylan is fighting with Michael. He was in the same mindset last season, one of the best seasons. I don't know why you wouldn't want that. Again, I don't know. I don't know how much of this was mentality. I really don't. I'm done with that conversation. Drew says, what are the Packers going to struggle with the first half against the Saints to win the game? I think the biggest thing, and this is kind of the easiest answer, but for a lot of teams this will be the case, but especially the Packers, again, not having the starters out there and whatnot, it's going to be rhythm. And, Matt LaFleur kind of talked about this is a tenacious defense, and they really get after it, and they're very disruptive. And even if they don't have exactly all the pieces, they have enough pieces to kind of just get in your head. They got, what's his name, Quan Alexander at linebacker, who's generally a bad linebacker, but he's just a disruptive guy. He might be a bad player 9 out of 10 times, but that one time he's making a play, whether it's a pick or a strip or a sack or whatever the case may be, and you got the guys off the edge or whatever. So it's just the Packers need to get out there and just establish a rhythm early on, and that's probably going to take some time, and it's going to be frustrating. just like every week, because we go through all this and we get it up in our head and we're like, this is how it's going to go. And man, just, we get ourselves hyped up like, dude, how they can't stop Devonte. Their corners are trash. And there's no way they're going to be able to stop Tunyon, and they can't stop MVS. And then it's a 3 and out. And it's like, I give up. I quit. I hate this. This is stupid. The Packers suck. Matt LaFleur, garbage play calling. This is a terrible team. You're all you know what I mean? It's just, panic for no reason. It's why I force myself to stay off Twitter, because the Packers always, at least the last 2 years, almost always had moments where it's like, these guys suck and they're going to lose. And 13-3 2 years in a row means they won almost every single one of their games. So keeping my mouth shut until the end was the best strategy. I can say positive things. I can say relatively neutral things, or at least somewhat objective and non-emotional things. But I generally try to forbid myself from lashing out on Twitter, because every time I do that, I look stupid, and everybody else that does that looks stupid most of the time. JJ says, you should clip your answer to the Devonte contract, probably like an hour ago by the time you read this, and post it on Twitter. It's good. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I do need to work on clipping more of these things, but I got to finish the podcast after this and everything else, so I don't know if that's going to happen. Dylan says, I guess we just disagree on his mindset. By the way, JJ, again, I elaborate much more on that, and I'm going to continue as this goes on. The majority of what we're talking about in this podcast is going to be the contract. Dylan says, I just guess we disagree on his mindset. Yep, I know. He's not talking to me, but we're moving on. Adam says, what's more important to a team's success, talent or mentality? A lot of the best Patriot teams in this decade weren't the most talented, but the most consistent. I mean, I think you can win with talent and bad mentality. I don't know if you can win at all. It's kind of like defense, right? You can win a lot with a real good offense, but you're probably going to struggle to win it all. I think that's kind of the same with talent and mentality. I think ultimately, if you don't have talent, you can't win. I don't care how much mentality you have. The Jets, for example, I think they're going to have a renewed mentality with the people that have come in there. But until they get the talent, they're not going anywhere. The talent is the number one prerequisite, but again, similar to talented defenses, et cetera, or you could even say quarterback. Unless you have that, I don't know if you're really going to fully be able to get over the hump. The Vikings with Kirk Cousins, for example, great team and all that stuff, but is Kirk ever going to be able to fully get you over the hump? I mean, you'll have good preseasons and regular seasons and playoff games, but are you going to consistently be able to get all the way through? So I think you have to have both, but if you got to pick one, pick talent and win a bunch of games and lose NFC North championships, if you know what I'm saying. Aaron says, hopefully we see both Jones and Dillon on the field together. So many possibilities. Every time somebody even mentions that, every time I do a stream, somebody mentions that, and you think I'd be tired of it. Every time just picturing it, it's just, I get butterflies. But yeah, I hope we see a little bit of that. It's so funny when you see some of these questions and you only catch like a part of it. It's like, what the heck is going on here? Jason says, do we have a date for Satan to come and collect from Brady? I don't have a pipeline. If you've got his number, maybe he's sleeping. Maybe he's busy with other dealings around the world. But if you could just send him a reminder that I think Tom Brady's kind of taking advantage of him, and it's, I don't want to say time to collect. I don't want anything bad to happen to Brady, but just close the spigot, right? He's won enough. I think we got it. All right. Skipping. Drew says, is Hill a bigger threat to Dillon's carries? Is Hill a bigger threat to Dillon's carries? Oh, I was thinking Hill on the Saints. Is Hill a bigger threat to Dillon's carries, or is Dillon a bigger threat to Jones's carries? You could go either way with that. I'm going to say Dillon only because I think Jones is multifaceted. In other words, you can give the majority of the carries to Dillon and still have Jones be the bigger factor on the team when you factor in his ability in the passing game and rushing game and all these other things that he's able to do, as well as just having them both on the field, right? A lot of times if Aaron Jones splits out and Dillon ends up getting the rush, he's still a factor in that. So I think for that reason, if I had to put money down on it, that would be what I'm thinking, is that Dillon's going to be just the general workhorse. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Aaron Jones is going to be the vast majority. And Dillon is primarily just going to be getting a bunch of carries to spell Aaron Jones so he doesn't get kind of burned out. But there's definitely a concern about Hill, and concern from a positive standpoint. But, A.J. Dillon was really good last year, but he's still kind of unproven, and they didn't put him out there, meaning as talented as he is, it's still possible that, they don't think he's fully ready, whereas Hill, he just launched himself up the depth chart. So it wouldn't 100% shock me. It would be kind of like, that's kind of crazy, but wouldn't 100% shock me. Just doing a wife check real quick. Also have him help around. Yeah, I can't, dude. I'm doing live. We got to wrap this up pretty soon. We'll do 10 more minutes. Doing live stream will take him out at 8. Okay. All right. Baxteezy says, burn facial, suck it. Fantastic movie. Baxter, throw the, what is the name of that movie in the comments? Completely underrated. I would bet nobody else here has even seen or heard of that movie. Me and Bax probably watched that movie 700 times. It got funnier every time we watched it. Stupid funny movie. Unbelievably funny. It's up there with like Blades of Glory, which is another one we watched a million times that was hilarious. But nobody knows about this movie, and it's freaking hilarious. Jacob says, I'm excited to see what Gary can do with the starter reps and snaps. I just hope he gets the opportunities. I want to see him at least in week 1. I want to see Gary get split snaps with Preston. That would be a great sign if we at least start with 50-50 and then just go from there. I don't want it to pick up where it left off. If he starts off, obviously, just getting the vast majority, that would be even better. But he needs to be getting more. Speaks says, sorry I'm late. What is your final score prediction for Sunday? Oh, I haven't even looked at that yet. That's a good one for the podcast, though. What is my final score prediction? So last time, it was 37-30. This time around, remember, we got air it out thing, but it is week 1. Well, although I think the Vikings week 1 last year was pretty high scoring, too. So let's say 35-28. So very similar to last year, but it just slightly different numbers. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it a ton, but that's what I'm going with. I do think it'll be kind of high scoring again. Hopefully our defense does better than that, though. Jason says, great content as usual, Ryan. Thank you for the info. Thinking about grilling up some carne asada while tailgating at the Arizona game this year. Any other ideas for the grill? Carne asada is a fantastic idea. It's one of the reasons I want to get a flat top. I keep forgetting about that. Definitely need to get that. That'd be good for frying up some steaks, and especially if you want to do like tacos and whatnot. You kind of chop it up and throw it on the flat top, and you can do your tortillas right there on the flat top. If you're tailgating and you're doing it, depending on what kind of grill you got, I would strongly consider doing wings. That's just such an awesome thing. You get a bunch of them. It's kind of a cool thing, and they don't take up a ton of space on your grill. Burgers and hot dogs are always a thing, but I don't know. If you just got a Weber out there, just do some burgers, I guess. But if you're doing carne asada, you're doing steak. I don't know what you got, man. But that would be my thought. Consider doing some wings, because wings are delicious, and you can do a ton of stuff with wings. The different sauces or whatever. Just keep me posted on that, will you? Roger Davis says, are there PFF stats that show the effect on field position of a top 10 defense? Can't you get excited about our offense with a shorter field 2 or 3 times per game? So, Roger, this is not your fault. This is just, it's getting late, and my brain is having a hard time keeping up with what we're talking about here. Let me try this one more time, and we're going to move on. The effect on field position of a top 10 defense. Effect on field position of a top 10 defense. So we got a top 10 defense. What is the effect of field position? I don't know. I'm not sure what we're talking about. Can't you get excited about our offense with a shorter field 2 or 3 times per game? Oh, I see. So our defense is giving our offense a shorter field. Is that what we're talking about? Yeah, I would get excited about that. Special teams is also going to be a major factor in field position, but we always seem to struggle with field position. So any way we can get it, I'm going to be excited about that. As far as does PFF show stats about that, I don't think so. That might be more of an SIS thing. Speak says he got LASIK surgery, so yeah. Hey, Ryan, I don't know if you've touched on this already, but any thoughts on the Saints' release of Murray? Who did they release? Latavius? Did they really release him? When did that happen? I'm way behind the times. Saints released 3 hours ago after he refused to take a pay cut. That seems significant. Let me look at something really quickly here because I mentioned Alvin Kamara did not get a lot of carries. I have a feeling, if I had to guess, let's go by game 2020. Come on, don't blank out on me now. Give me the games. Oh, that's preseason. I don't want preseason. Let's do this. There we go. Packers Saints. So we'll go to the Saints. We'll go to rushing. Latavius Murray had 12 attempts to Alvin Kamara's 6 and Taysom Hill's 1. He is the number one running back. This is a team, again, that has purged a lot of people. If Alvin Kamara is the main running back in this game, I mean, it just detracts from everything else. I mean, I'm not saying he's a bad running back because he's not, but it takes away from things. When you have that committee, and Latavius is a good running back, that hurts. I mean, it just does. I mean, he's obviously not as big of a factor, but it impacts Alvin Kamara as well. I didn't know that. That's kind of crazy, and I'm quite excited about that. By the way, rushing grade in that game against the Green Bay Packers last year, Latavius Murray had a 72 overall grade. Alvin Kamara had a 57 overall grade. He was not running the ball well against us. Taysom Hill, 40 overall grade. He's another X factor that we haven't really talked about. So, Jack, thank you very much for that insight. I will have to bring that up. This is another reason why I want to do the stream and then do the podcast, because I get little tidbits there, here and there. Eric says, I'm back, had to do work. Apparently they didn't realize I'm watching Pack Daddy. Dude, they gotta wake up. When are people going to realize that there are more important things in life than work? Like, oh, I pay you hourly to do a job. You shouldn't be watching YouTube. What a bunch of losers. Or you're on Facebook, but you get the point. I mean, that's terrible. That's horrible. You should find a new job. You should come work for me. I don't pay, but, dude, I won't make you do anything. I don't even care what you do. You don't even have to show up to work. Dakota says, I came in late, had to leave, came back in later. We almost done. I also don't make you stay. You pick your own hours here, Dakota. So I appreciate the update on everybody's day and what you guys are up to. Are we almost done? I'm sorry I'm keeping you up. I really apologize. Actually, I got 3 minutes. I gotta get going here. So let's see. Speak says Latavius Murray was released and Troutman is out for the year. Okay, I knew there was something with Troutman. So that is a massive blow because he was looking like he was going to do something. Latavius is gone. That's pretty wild. I mean, they just don't have anything. They don't have the number one wide receiver. They don't have their tight end. They don't have Latavius, who, I mean, I don't want to say number one running back because that's Alvin, but as far as running the ball, I don't know. I don't know how you pick the Saints in this game, man. I just don't. Mark says, will we have the best running back group in the NFL? Keep up the good work. It's not a bad bet. I mean, you can put up, the Browns or a couple other teams that have some pretty good groups, but there's no reason to count out the Packers in that competition. It's something that I'd want to look at, but I have no problem with that assessment. Jason says, a quick take. Maybe we pick up Corey Bojorquez to just kick the ball out of the end zone and prevent other teams from having a huge return. So I actually had talked to my half-Mexican lawyer about that, and that was sort of what we had speculated. I don't remember if he brought it up or I brought it up. It's kind of one of those things you just came to. But we kind of talked about that. Like, so if you can kick it 70 yards, even if, we can return it or whatever, if your goal, basically, if I can get to like the 30 or 40 yard line, I can kick it out of the end zone and guarantee that you have to start at the 25. I think we would take that. So that could be a factor. Just kick it out of the end zone every time. I don't care if it's a line drive, it doesn't matter because he's not going to return it because it's out of the end zone. Michael says Packers 23, Saints 21. Tell me I'm wrong. The Saints D is their strength. Their defensive line is one of the best. This will be a tight game. Watch alone because people talking will make you lose it. So the bigger issue, so I get it. That didn't happen last time, and I think the Packers offense is going to kind of roll, but we'll see. I think if the Saints get 20, you know what? Maybe I'll alter it. Saints 23, Packers 33. I don't know. It doesn't matter. So watching alone, the thing with our household is a lot of the people don't care about football, and there's something very aggravating about somebody that doesn't care about football acting like there's no big deal when something serious happened. Drives me nuts. And then constantly, when the Packers are losing, somebody to walk in the room and look at the score and say, oh, what happened? Or how they doing? Just don't talk to me. Just don't talk to me. How about that? 28 and 33 Thunder and Lightning, baby, says Mike. 28 is going to play a lot, says Mike. Reichel, I feel like Dylan is still a telegraphed run player. I'm not entirely sure what that means, but he does have some growth that he needs to accomplish. I don't know that sentence. Mike says, I had this as a certain loss in New Orleans, but in Jacksonville, Packers win fairly easily. Packers win very easily. I definitely didn't have it as a loss in New Orleans, but yeah, that does help. Moving to Jacksonville should be home field advantage for the Packers. Mike says Packers 35, 28. Is that exactly what I said? You ripping me off, dude? If it's 35-28, even though I just changed it, I want that one back. John says, I feel like the Saints' game plan is to feed Kamara. Probably. I mean, that's what you did last time, and it worked. You're challenging our linebackers, and until we prove that we can stop it, just keep doing it. So it's going to be on us to prove we can stop it. John Bauer, who is, I believe, a subscriber. If you want to subscribe to this YouTube channel, by the way, and get a sweet little emblem like that, you can feel free to do so. John says, I feel like the Saints game... Oh, I already read that. I'm an idiot. Roger says, put those scissors down before you get... I forgot you guys can see what I'm doing here, playing with scissors. When I do the podcast, I do all kinds of stupid stuff, and nobody knows what I'm doing. It's like the Office episode. Just throw it to you. Let's see. Kyle says, only commenting to compare badges with John. I do like that, man. Show off the badges. People need to know. People got to know. At least know that it's available. So I'm assuming somebody's going to be like, dude, what's that sweet badge? And then I'll be like, hey, man, just click the join button down there, and you can get a badge. And they're going to be like, heck yeah. And then 1,000 people do it, and then I'm going to quit my job tomorrow. Jason says, badges? We don't need no stinking badge. Jason, we're selling the badges. I get the reference, but come on, man. We do need stinking badges, bro. Speaks McGee says, for the Arizona tailgate, you should look for pollo asada and al pastor. Al pastor is delicious. Pollo, so is pollo chicken? Pollo? I don't know. And what is asada? Is that meat? Because carne asada, oh no, carne is meat. I don't know. I don't know Spanish, but I know al pastor is delicious. Pollo asado, I'm not entirely sure what that is, but it sounds delicious. Let's see. Universal Truth says Saints are going to try to throw early to back up our defense, probably. Gooseby, how many wins will the Packers have? I'm going to say they do not get 13-3 again this year because they will be 14-3. Jason Miller says Al Pastor was a thought. John says LMAO, and I'm only reading that because he has a badge. You should check it out. It looks pretty cool. Gooseby says how many? I already read that. Yes, Jason says pollo is chicken. So chicken tacos. Huh? I mean, I've had them before, but not like authentic chicken tacos. It's always like me just making Americanized flour tortillas with some chicken and some cheese and hot sauce and stuff. But yeah, it sounds pretty good. It's a good idea. Chicken's not great anyways. All right, I think we're all caught up. It is 8:02. I got to get going. I got to let the dog out because I said I was going to do that at 8. Then I got to finish the podcast, put the kids to bed, go to work tomorrow, the whole thing. Check out tomorrow, though. The plan right now is going to be to live stream the game. I don't know if I'm going to commit to that or if I'm going to be able to do that because I'll be very tired and losing sleep and everything else. But at the very least, hopefully for a little while, I'll be able to do that. But you folks have yourselves a fantastic day. Thanks again to Jason for this